Yes, hi. I want to check and make sure that the audio is now working before we get started. We had some problems earlier, so I want to make sure that the audio is on. If Nick could confirm that with me. All right, we're good to go. So again, my apologies. My name is Shane Winmeyer, and I'm the executive director of an organization called Campus Pride. Campus Pride works with colleges across the country in the U.S., as well as today we're proud to be part of International Student Day with College Week Live to talk about how to find a lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans-friendly college or university. And so again, we're excited to be here today. I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning here, but you should have audio now. My name is Shane Winmeyer. As I mentioned, I founded and I am the executive director of Campus Pride. Our organization is the leading organization in the U.S. For college students and campus groups. I'm the author of a book called The Advocate College Guide, which helps students find gay-friendly colleges across the United States. Today's webinar is going to be about how you can find a lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans friendly campus, a campus that's inclusive to gay students as well as straight ally students. And like I said, we're very glad to be celebrating and acknowledging International Student Day today. Campus Pride works with about 1,400 different campuses across the country. We have a national index called the CampusPride Index, which I'll be talking about, which is an online tool that can help you as an international student find colleges here in the States that can be supportive of someone coming out as gay or someone who is currently out as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender in their academic studies. Just to give you a little bit of background about the U.S. and where it stands on lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender issues. In 2010, Campus Pride published the State of Higher Education for LGBTQ students. And that report was the first of its kind. It's a national research study that looked at about 5,000 students, faculty, and staff on college campuses across the U.S. And what we learned was what the climate is like. What is it currently like for a gay student to be out or to be closeted here in the United States? And what we learned was that a quarter, about 23% of students today on college campuses encounter harassment from their college related to the climate. And about half of the faculty and students and staff still hide their sexual identity or their gender identity. So it's important to recognize that not all the campuses in the U.S. are gay-friendly or LGBT-friendly. You need to pick the right college in order to have a successful academic experience as an out gay student or as an out bisexual transgender student. And so this research shows us that there is still harassment that exists at colleges in the U.S., and it's important to acknowledge that. More than a third of transgender students fear for their physical safety on campus. These percentages were even higher for our students of color. These would be our African American students, our Latino students, our American Indian students, our Asian students, and so forth. A third of the students considered leaving their campus as a result of that challenging climate. We don't know how many actually left and didn't necessarily graduate, but we do know that that persistence is a problem here in the U.S. as well. So like I said, you want to pick the colleges that have certain services, certain programs, certain policies in place. And part of doing that is recognizing that in 2010, there were only about 300 U.S. colleges that actually have policies or a support center or some sort of institutional commitment. 13% have sexual orientation to protect a gay, lesbian, bisexual student in the classroom. About 6% have non-discrimination policies related to gender identity to protect a trans student. So when you're looking at a college here in the U.S., you want to make sure that the college has at least a policy related to non-discrimination and explicitly defines sexual orientation or gender identity expression as part of that policy. You also want to make sure that you check out if they have a center or an office or a staff person, someone who gets paid to make sure that LGBT students are taken care of, that there's a safe learning environment, and that it's not all in the backs of the the out gay person to do and protect their own community. There needs to be an institutional commitment for that. Now, some of you may know this next artist. She's an international artist. She just came out with a new album. You might recognize her, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga has something called a disco stick. I don't know if you've heard her song a while back, but I jokingly use Lady Gaga as a reference because imagine if Lady Gaga were to come and with her disco stick, and if she were to find all the gay students, all the lesbian, bisexual, transgender students, if she were to find all the queer students on a college campus, and she were to, put them together, take them off on her UFO with her disco stick, the question becomes, if all the students that were gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender were no longer on the campus, what you need to ask yourself is, what is the institutional commitment that is left behind? So as an international student coming to the US, looking at a college that is LGBT friendly, you need to ask the out students on the campus how they feel about the LGBT climate and how it is to be out and lesbian or out and gay or out and transgender on campus. But you also need to realize that beyond the students, the campus needs to have an institutional commitment. And so that comes in policies, that comes into programs and services. And oftentimes on today's college campus, if Lady Gaga were to come and zap up all the gay students that were out, all the queer students, on today's college campus, if that were to happen, less than 20% of colleges would actually have an institutional commitment or a policy in place to support LGBT students. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about that and that you do ask for student input, but you also look at their policy, program, and practice to ensure that it's a safe place to go to. And we're going to talk about what those policies might be. There's a tool online that Campus Pride has called the CampusPride Index. You can find it online at campuspride.org. So again, that website is campuspride.org, which is CampusPride.org. You can also check it out through the Campus Pride Index site, but you want to make sure you go to campuspride.org. You can do that while we're on this webinar here. You can also follow us on Twitter and learn about our programs and services at Campus Pride. So make sure you follow Campus Pride on Twitter at just simply @ and then the word Campus Pride, one word. So the Campus Pride Index was developed in 2001, and what it is it's an online tool that allows you as a student to search different LGBT-friendly colleges and universities. And so you can actually go online and search roughly 400 different colleges that have come out as LGBT-friendly. It was developed by a team of researchers. You can actually learn more about it simply by clicking online right now and checking it out. But what it does is it has everything that those colleges provide a lesbian, gay, bi, or trans student. So do they have a student group? Do they have a policy that is inclusive of sexual orientation? Do they have gender neutral housing? Or do they have LGBT living learning communities? Do they have a safe zone program, an ally program to train allies? Do they have LGBT courses? Is there a actual place on the campus for LGBT students to go, a student center or a resource center? And so that's what you'll be able to find on the Campus Pride Index, are those colleges who do offer programs and services. You'll also be able to find our top 25 LGBT-friendly colleges and universities. And I do see here, if you do have any questions whatsoever throughout the webinar, feel free to type those in the question box, and I'll answer those questions as we go through the webinar or at the end of the webinar. So again, if you do have questions, please make sure you ask those. This is meant to be interactive, so please ask the questions that you have. If you have a question, go ahead and type it in the question box. You can ask them and we will answer them. So I want to make sure there's somebody here who asked a question, but go ahead and ask your question related to what you need, Atari, and we will get to you. So the index actually asks 8 different areas of campus life, from policy inclusion to academic life to student life to campus safety to counseling and health to housing. So for a moment, let's look at this from a standpoint of you as an international student. In student life, some of the questions that are asked there that you can find answers to are, does the campus actually have an active presence when it comes to a student group, a student life, a safe zone program? Do they bring in programs or services? Does the international office actually engage with the LGBT support services on campus? You can find all those answers to those questions, again, by going to campuspride.org and clicking on the Campus Pride Index. That's Campus Pride Index. We roughly have, like I said, about 400 colleges who are on the index today. There are more and more of those campuses that are improving their climate as a result. You can actually see here's a picture of the website right in this location of the website, and I'll circle it here for you. This is where you find out and you click to go to the Campus Pride Index, and you can actually search, like I said, 400 colleges in different states, from Kansas to California to Georgia, wherever those campuses are, you can be able to search those. I have a question here that just came in, so I want to make sure I take that. And Atari, feel free to ask your question. We have someone here from Georgia, and they have a question they wanted to help with, and of course I can help you, but go ahead and ask the question. And so we have a question about applying. How do you apply for a college? You apply for a college through the admissions office, and the admissions office can tell you about LGBT issues, potentially, especially if they have an LGBT resource center or if they have offices or support services. So when you apply to a college, you want to be able to ask those questions on your campus visit, and during the admissions part of your application, you can ask whatever you would want related to that. Campus Pride also provides a resource guide. So these are free resource guides that would enable you to learn more about LGBT issues here in the States, what resources are available to you. It provides organizational links. It also provides scholarships. Now, certain colleges have scholarships for lesbian, gay, or bisexual or trans students. And so Campus Pride actually has a scholarship database that we have available online. And so you want to make sure you check that out, and you can actually learn how to get money to go to college potentially from specific colleges that provide those scholarships. So you want to check out that resource guide. Also, if you're currently in the States and you're looking at graduate school, we do have college fairs in different large cities such as Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Boston. And so you can also learn about colleges that are gay friendly by going to our website and checking out our college fair program. All right, I have another question in that came, and I want to be able to answer that. The question that I have is, how about going to get internships in the U.S.? So getting internships. So in getting an internship, typically at a college or university, you can, once you're enrolled, once you're starting to go to school, you can apply for internships through the academic program or study. Those can be internships that are based in the local community. They could be internships that are actually on campus. And so there's a variety of ways to do that. Our organization, Campus Pride, does offer summer fellowships for students. And so I would say that the easiest way to find out about internships is to go ahead and get enrolled in a college. Depending on where that college is located, there are plenty of internship opportunities potentially off campus. There's also internship opportunities through potentially your program of study. So if you're going into sciences if you're going into math, engineering, you can find internships through your program of study by talking to your professors and finding out what's available, depending on your major. Otherwise, I think internships are pretty easy to come by. The challenge is, are they paid internships, and how much money you need through the internship, or if you can do it for free for the experience and for the academic credit. That's also something to keep in mind. Campus Pride, I don't know if anyone on the call identifies as transgender on today's webinar, but we do have a trans policy clearinghouse. And if you're interested in trans issues, if you consider yourself to be gender nonconforming, gender queer, you might check out our trans policy clearinghouse. In addition to the Campus Pride Index, the Trans Policy Clearinghouse shows the colleges that have trans inclusive programs, services, and so forth. So I really encourage you to check that out. One of the biggest challenges today on college campuses is related to housing. So when you stay on a college campus and you live in a residence hall, you want to make sure that you feel safe and welcome in that residence hall community. And so the Campus Pride, our organization, helps students advocate for safe living and learning communities, a place where you can be out as lesbian or gay and have a good experience, or be out as a trans person and have a good, safe experience that won't necessarily in any way impede your ability to get a successful academic experience. As I mentioned, we have our top 25 list of LGBT-friendly colleges. There are gay-friendly colleges in every state as far as those that are doing LGBT work. And so I encourage you that if you're looking at going to school in the Midwest, in the South, in maybe the Northwest, spend some time learning which colleges are doing actively engaging LGBT students, have policies that are inclusive, have a safe zone program, have an active student group, have the support services that are necessary. You can't assume just by coming to the U.S. and going to a college that it's going to be gay friendly or LGBT friendly. Here in the U.S., there are some states that are much more LGBT friendly. Currently in the United States, we have 16 states that have now passed legislation or now have advocated through the courts that they will allow for same-sex gay marriage. And so those states would be probably the more progressive of the states to consider of going to college. But there's other colleges that are still good places to be. They just are working harder for their LGBT students to do a better job. And so, you can find colleges in southern, more rural areas that are LGBT friendly, that are trying to support their LGBT students, but you also need to make sure that wherever you choose to go, that there is some sort of commitment. And that's what Campus Pride does. We also do a variety of trainings, so once you are a student here in the U.S., you should definitely check out our different online trainings, our different resources. We do a variety of workshops, a variety of programs and resources when it comes to conferences. We have conferences that come up related to sports, related to athletics on campuses, conferences related to fraternities and sororities. We also give out leadership awards to deserving undergraduate students who are doing amazing work on their campus. In the summer, we have a national leadership program, which is open to all students. We would love to have more international student involvement in our leadership camp called Camp Pride, which is a 5-day, 5-night camp that really focuses on social justice skills and development. It focuses on LGBT identity and how to really be a grassroots leader here in the communities that you serve on your campus and so forth. I want to make sure I tell you again, if you would like to ask a question related to LGBT-friendly colleges, please go ahead and type a question, and I will answer that question to the best of my ability during this time we have together today. And so please, if you have a question, feel free to type it. Also, you can type us questions on Twitter. We do have an active Twitter feed, and we're happy to answer your questions through our Twitter handle at CampusPride. That's the @ symbol and then the word Campus Pride. It's a one word. So go ahead and tweet at us, and we will be happy to answer your questions in that manner as well. We also do a variety of programs related to bias and hate crime prevention for college campus communities. It's important to understand that there's no college that can offer a completely safe environment. So there's not any college that will be free of issues of bias, issues of prejudice. And so as an international student, just like where you live now, there's no guarantee of safety. Same thing when you come to a college here in the States. But many of the colleges that are out there want to be responsible for their LGBT students. Again, you just have to find the right ones that are doing that type of work in a way that is institutional. I want to take a moment now and answer some questions. I see one of the questions here is, how do I learn about the Campus Pride Index? And the index, like I mentioned earlier, is an online tool. You can actually search, much like when you shop online, you can actually shop for LGBT-friendly colleges. So I need you to actually log on to campuspride.org, go to the website, and then as I showed you earlier, and I'll go back to the slide here just in case you joined us a bit late, you can actually go up here, and I will highlight the section. That button right there that I just highlighted is what you'll click on for the Campus Pride Index. And when you click on the index, you'll take you to a screen that will have a magnifying glass. And on that screen, you can click and you can search the 400 or so campuses. So let's say you want to go to college in the central part of the United States. Let's say Kansas. You can actually search the gay-friendly colleges in the state of Kansas. Or let's say that you're going to be going to a specific institution. You've already decided that, or you've already been selected to go to a certain college. You can actually search for that college and find out how LGBT friendly that college campus is. So let's say you're going to be going to Emporia State University. You can actually look for Emporia State University, look at whether or not it has an LGBT, a gay student group, a club. You can also see if they have, you know, an active list of programs or services, or even just entertainment, that they have LGBT social activities for their students. So that's what I would really encourage you, is to go to the website and actually search for yourself the 400 plus campuses. Another question I have here is related to scholarship opportunities. And so you can find scholarships and assistance through admissions related to gay-friendly scholarships. And so online at campuspride.org, underneath that same tab that says Campus Pride Index, if you click on it, you can actually find a button that says scholarships. And you click on the scholarship button, and you can learn about different scholarships across the United States on different college campuses. Like I mentioned, excuse me, like I mentioned, if you have a question, please type it in the question box. This is the time for questions now. I'm reviewing some of the material that we shared earlier for those who joined us a bit late. There are a variety of other services that I want to talk about related to finding a gay-friendly campus. Typically, when you visit the campus for the first time, you have an opportunity to talk to the students that are there, the current students, the faculty members. That's an excellent time to ask questions that are on your mind. So if you want to know where, the out gay students, maybe the lesbian students, whoever it is who's LGBT, where they go for fun or where they go on campus as far as living. Maybe there's a specific residence hall community, or maybe there's even a floor. Some campuses actually have LGBT themed floors where LGBT students actually have a community. And so you can ask those questions on your campus visit. You can also ask if there's an LGBT class or courses related to LGBT issues on that campus visit. And so Campus Pride has a tool called a scorecard that when you go to a college campus, you can actually ask about 20 questions that will help you as an out LGBT student find the campus that's best for you. Now, it's important to understand that you want to go to a campus for academics and for other reasons. So the LGBT campus environment and whether or not it's gay friendly is meant to be a part of your decision. It's not necessarily meant to be the whole part of the decision. So you want to consider that, especially on that campus visit. That's one of the services I wanted to mention. I'm not seeing any other questions come in, so please make sure that if you have a question, this would be the time to ask it. We have about 30 to 40 minutes today together, and so I want to make sure I'm taking your questions and answering them. I think I mentioned earlier in the webinar for you that for Campus Pride, our organization, we really try to support the students in making sure that their voice is heard. And so if there's a problem or an issue on their campus, we try to make sure we help resolve that. We also try to amplify the work that they're doing, the positive stuff that's happening on college campus communities. And so there's a lot of positive work being done at many of the colleges across the country. Those colleges that are doing that positive work, you can actually find on the Campus Pride Index website. And that's where I would spend my attention. If I wanted to go to an LGBT-friendly college, if I wanted to pick a college that was right for me as an out LGBT student, then I would go to the Campus Pride website and I would search the Campus Pride Index, and those are the colleges that I would choose from. If you're looking at a college that's not maybe on the index, you should ask a question as to why they're not on the index. The colleges that have participated have wanted to come out as LGBT friendly, and I think that's really important to recognize and to understand. So I wanted to make sure we take a moment to actually give some support to those campuses that are doing positive work. All right, so I'm waiting for more questions to come in. And so if you have questions, now would be the time to ask. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Campus Pride. You can find us on our Twitter handle at the @ symbol and then the word Campus Pride, one word. So make sure you do that. All right, I think the last thing I would say in wrapping up is I would like to share just a brief story with you all. Going to college or being in college is one of the most rewarding experiences that you'll have. As an international student, coming to a new community, coming to the U.S., it's all about what you put into it. It's all about what you want out of it. And your academics are an important part of that. Also, the cultural experience, the social experience is very important to you. And so you want to find the campus where you feel safe, where you feel welcome, kind of like it's a family. And so as an out gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender student, that family is important to you. And so, the story I would share is that when I was looking at a college, and when I found the campus that I wanted, luckily for me, I was able to find a campus that was very diverse, that made me feel safe, and through that diversity, through the feeling of being welcome, I was able to spend 4 years there, get a good education, and leave with friends that have lasted a lifetime. And so, in your own way, when you're picking a college, when you're spending time your first year on campus, you want to find those places that you can succeed academically, but you really truly can find and develop friendships. Friendships around your sexual identity, around your culture, around who you are as a person. And so I really want to encourage that, especially on International Student Day today, that you take the time to really identify what you're looking for in a college campus community. And if you're out and lesbian, out and gay or bisexual or transgender, um, take a moment to think about how important that is to you, that you find campuses, uh, colleges here in the States that support who you are. So thank you so much for your time today. You can learn more about our organization, like I said, at campuspride.org. That's campuspride.org. Obviously, you can write us on Twitter, any questions that you have. I hope that College Week Live, this webinar today, will continue of being of service to you. Our focus today was on how to find an LGBT-friendly college, and I hope that the resources that I share with the Campus Pride Index is a step toward that direction for you. Contact our organization if you need any further support, and we look forward to continuing that relationship. And good luck on your search for a LGBT-friendly college. Thank you so much for your time today.